Hey guys, I just wanted to have this discussion today really about our experience of either being trans or even being in the spectrum of being non binary and androgynous. And I have the amazing, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what like platforms we can follow you and talk to you on.
My name is Braxton, also known as Defunct Carbs on the WeTube, and I'm a trans man, and I'm just here to join Bambi today, which I'm actually very happy. A while ago, when I was watching your Life of a Stoner video, actually, I like told myself like I would love to collab with them one day. Like just watching your videos makes me laugh, all the humor, just like I feel like we'd get along great. And we are collabing here for like our first time, so I'm lucky to be here, and I'm glad that you invited me. It's actually a really nice blessing. I feel like we could do a lot with this, so I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, definitely. And I think you're a cool person as well. And then but for y'all don't know, yeah, I'm Baby the Boom. What's up? I'm on that's my Instagram name Instagram name handle, really. My Instagram name handle on Instagram is Baby the Boom and also on other like YouTube and everything else. Um I like seeing your videos because one, I just think you're a cool, genuine like person. And when I started seeing your videos, I was like, you
Thank
got some
you.
cool vlogs, right? And you just seem like a really chill person. I have seen, I think when you're on the internet and you see other people making content, you just think like, oh wow, we could really be friends, like in your head kind of thing, because your
Right, you start
personality
to
is
like think
cool.
about everything, how it all worked on the outside.
Right. And recently I have seen a lot more like LGBTQ people getting together to share their experience. And when I had my coming out story posted last year, I saw how much either it has reached people or there's people that know someone who is um, in this LGBT spectrum,
Mm,
and how much either they say it's helped or they know someone that was in my position or with the same coming out story. And when I started seeing more people coming out and letting me know that, I was like, wow. So I didn't know how effective my voice of sharing just like an experience could either inspire other people to
right.
come out as well or to not to help them inspire and feel like they're not alone. So
Yeah, exactly.
and I thought to myself, who else would it be perfect with to have this conversation with other than you? And I was like, bitch, nobody. It's only you that I can really have this conversation with.
That's awesome. Thank you. I feel special, honestly.
Yes. So, and I thank you for being here and being patient because we had a lot coming up to this interview.
And
So
I was like, leave it to the black folks to drag out a Zoom call.
you
We don't
know,
even have to be nowhere, just right here. We're like still lagging.
yes,
But it's like
yes,
whatever, we're here now. So
absolutely.
um, I
Um,
completely agree with you on that though. When I had made a little short video on my WeTube about being trans and on, I didn't really think it would reach that many people, but like you said, you put content out there and you realize there are a lot of people. It's like they're waiting for someone else to be a voice because it can be hard sometimes speaking out. So it's like once you have it out there, it's like people will just start flocking naturally. So,
yes, absolutely.
but continue. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. If you
Yeah.
wanted to, I wanted you, kind of give you the honor because I just so happy that you were going to be here with me, and I want to know if you wanted to start with your first question.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to ask, like, so when would you say like you realized like you felt kind of like different about your gender? Like, were you young? Was it just like recently this year? Like, did you
Mm.
ever feel any different towards like kids around you, like growing up, whatever it may be? Like, kind of loaded question, but you know what ties into all of that.
Exactly. Yes. And that's a good question. It's actually one of them I had for you. So, um,
Cool. We can, yeah, we can relate.
we can bounce
Cool.
off this one.
Yeah.
Really, even as probably early as around like maybe 4 or 5 is the time that I really started to put together what was masculine and feminine versus the boy and like the male gender versus the female gender. And I
Mhm.
think when I became that one that kind of fused those feminine and masculinity things together is when I started thinking like, man, like I remember saying like, no, I'm a girl, but I'm a boy or stuff like that, and not really knowing
Yeah.
that it's not that your gender, like your sex has changed, but it's just like I don't necessarily align up with the guys at my school because they're all like masculine and stuff, and then the girls over
Right.
here they're so soft and feminine, but people make it seem like I couldn't be either in the middle or
In
that I couldn't
between.
hop to one of the
Yeah.
sides. Um,
Exactly.
it didn't really occur to me, and I didn't understand whether being non-binary or everything else was until I got to like 18, and I found um, what is it, a definition or some type of understanding of androgyny. Well, even I found out about like middle school, but still, it's like I found.
It's like coming to terms with it, though. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I had to come to terms with it. Not only did I had to recognize and see the term, but I had to figure out how does it fit me. And eventually, I did come to terms with identifying as androgynous because I don't fit in a binary of being this masculine dude or this man.
Right.
And to people, I fit in such a social category of being a woman. But it's like at the end of the day, I have to remind people, I'm not. And when you keep saying certain things like, oh, but you're a woman, I'll be like, girl, I'm not.
You know, you're like, I'm not sure if I want to be categorized like that either. I mean, yeah, because like, I feel like trying to present in like one way or another, it's like a battle, you know, just being out there in public and being seen and visible, you kind of are pushed into like, oh, so like, where do you fit? And it's like, I don't fit anywhere. Like, why does it have to be just this box, you know?
Absolutely. And even as a kid, like, cause like when I was finding or coming to terms with it a little bit, or when I started, when I was about like 5 or whatever, it's just like the whole thing you say, the presentation is like almost everything, especially at a young age. And when they see you behaving that is not typical for like a boy or whatever,
yeah,
that's where like the rift and the confrontation starts to come in from like people older than you or people just around you. Socially, people don't understand. Well, why do you look like a girl? Why do you sound like one? All this other stuff and everything that I was getting, and I'm just like, I just want to be me.
Yeah, like why is that so hard for people to comprehend? That's something I've noticed too. Is like you always have these outside chatters of like people's opinions of what they think you should be, or like what they think. Like what their idea is of, you know, what is male, female, or whatever. Like, I think that's what kind of is holding a lot of people back, is like just trying to stick to these societal set norms. By the way, they're not even natural. Like, you know, we are just beings already as is. Like, why would you want to try to limit yourself to just one or the other? Because we honestly aren't one without the other already. So trying to fit into like one bubble, like it doesn't work. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people end up unhappy that way, trying to just fit in. You know, there's a lot more people out there that are closeted than we think.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, her faces are not there. It's not visible, but it's like there are a lot more people around you that struggle with the same kind of, you know, gender identities, sexuality, all that. Is just, it's not talked about.
Yes.
Because those people, too, are afraid to open up. And, you know, they are not even in spaces to where they can open up or anything, you know, where it's acceptable. So I don't know. There's so many little things that go into it.
It's a rabbit hole at the end of the day.
It is. It's like this.
Yes.
But it's all like one big factor, and it all comes. I blame it on society, honestly.
Yes, absolutely.
I do.
And what I want to ask now is or kind of throw the question back. When did you start realizing that maybe your sex wasn't aligning with like your gender, especially like at like a crucial or like a young age, or where you're just like, you know, this isn't me, or something right here just isn't fitting?
Oh yeah, definitely early on, like at the age of 6, yeah. And something that I wanted to like point out too is like I've noticed a lot of other people I've talked to, you know, that are just in the LGBTQ community, is like they all realize something different about them at a very young age. So yeah, I was 6 years old. I think I was in kindergarten one time actually, and I realized I had a crush on this girl, and you know, at the time I'm not on hormones or anything, and we used to like hang out a lot, blah blah blah. I thought the feeling was mutual, you know, at this young little age, and then this other boy came up to play with us, and she ran off with him, and I was like, oh, like what is different about me versus him? You know, like I liked her. I thought she liked me, kind of thing, and she like told me, oh well, you're just not a boy. And like I always just felt different I felt different like out of that, because I'm like, oh, like I just always saw myself as, you know, a boy. Like I always played with the guys. I was never into, you know, the girly things, never into like dressing up, makeup. I hated all of that stuff. You know, I had sisters growing up. They always tried to like, you know, doll me up and do things like that. It was just never my thing. You know, I always was like into sports, and you know, I watched wrestling on TV, like stuff like that.
Yeah, and, WWE. WWE, like with The Rock and everybody.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was my shit back then. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I would watch it all the time. You know, my dad and I would hang out. I'd watch football with him. I'd have my shirt off, you know, like shit like that, like cheering for the team.
Yeah.
And then like later on, I would say like when puberty hit, like I realized things weren't like, it wasn't going to be like that forever. You know, like as a young kid, you know, pubescent or whatever, I'm thinking I'm going to have like, you know, that chest forever. And like, that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I always felt. I think it got harder, like, you know, middle school around that time, because I started to realize more and more, like, I do not fit in with, like, any of these kids around me. I didn't feel like I could relate to the guys or the girls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, like, very stuck between how to present myself, like, clothes to wear, you know. I realized a lot of the stuff I was doing was just trying to, like, survive and fit in.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So yeah, it definitely changed.
One way, but then it's like to be authentic of how you want to be, but also so you won't be, I guess, judged so much by like society and the people that were like around you.
Right, like you're doing things like you want to be a certain way, but it's like you have to almost boil it down just so you can fit in and be accepted socially, and you know that really does mess you up as a kid. You don't realize it, and I've realized it more and more like as I've gone older and just farther into my transition. Is like, wow, a lot of that time back, I was wasting and worried about how people thought and like what they saw of me. But at that time too, as being so young, I kind of felt powerless. I didn't really know any other people that were, you know, trans or, you know, openly gay or lesbian like that at all. So not until like I think I got old enough is when I started going out to like the pride events in town more and started seeing, oh, there are more people like me out here. It's just we have to, you know, go meet in our little private spaces to live, you know, and be out like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally awesome, and I can really empathize with that. Like you didn't, it made it harder to be the one to express yourself and to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while and like guts. It took encouragement from yourself to be like, I want to present myself like this, because
exactly
there weren't so many examples. Or, you know, there weren't too many people that you knew of. And then even now, it's still like only a small percentage of people that actually know someone that's trans or in like that non-binary circle. So then it's like, if you don't even know that, it's like, how you even meant to meet other people like you and how you feel comfortable, feel like this
with no knowledge or any kind of, you know, familiarity with any of it. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Dang, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask too. So like, you said like around 18 is like, when did you like officially like come out to like, you know, people around you, or did you come out at all, or like was it just something that you just started doing? Like,
it's so crazy. It's like, I don't know if because I guess there's only so many questions you could really ask somebody, because like I was looking at my notes and I was like, that was the next question I was going to ask is, when did you come out?
Yeah, I feel like there's like very key questions to all this, because you know it's like the foundation of it all.
Yes.
Like was it when you're growing up? You know, when you finally did start to be more yourself, like, did you have family support? You know, was it not a good experience? You know, even friends, you know, sometimes people lose friends because of just being ourselves. So yeah, I mean, we could definitely relate on some experiences, I'm sure. So
yes. And when you said, when did I come out? Because it's like, it feels like I came out twice in my life, because I had to tell my sexuality, and then I had to go about my like gender identity or how to just fit in, because the fact I look like female, but I don't go by my female like pronouns that people try to put with me. So it's like I came out about my sexuality, whether I was gay or not, when I was like 14 to my best friend. And then after I told my friends in school, I told my parents when I was like 16. But my mom, she always seen me around the house wearing the wigs and the makeup and the lashes or whatever. She just wanted to believe it now. So
yeah,
we get. I
swear, moms always know first, though.
they do. A lot of people knew. They just didn't want to get to it. It's not the first time I've been caught with a wig or some makeup on and then taking these pictures. Why did I have weave and all these quick weaves I made in my room? And I was like, so you don't think I'll be wearing this? Like, come on. So
you making it for your friends,
right? You know what I'm saying? I had to come up with so many dumb excuses, but I started expressing my full androgyny when I was probably around like 16, a little bit out, but like, let's say I was about 14. is
Okay.
when I started expressing my androgyny at home. And my mom, she was the first one to see that. And then I told my dad, but I didn't really let people fully, I didn't like come out to be out and open about it until I was about 18.
Oh
And it was
wow.
literally like I graduated. Then when I went to college, I was like, I'm starting the first day off like this. I have to wear my curly wig.
Yeah.
I have to put
Yeah.
on lashes, my makeup, and everything. I started wearing my hair long. You couldn't tell me nothing. And
Right. Because you're free now. You're in
yes,
college. It's like, oh, I can do this now.
I'm absolutely free. And funny enough, when I was in my senior year of high school, because my birthday was March 10th. So when I came, I had a birthday dinner and I had all my friends come over because they knew I was gay, but they didn't know how I wanted to express myself with my androgyny. So
Right.
this is the first night I invited a bunch of people over for my 18th birthday, and I had a wig, my lashes, and I had my whole decked out makeup and everything. And they were like, "Oh my god, bitch, you're fucking gorgeous." And I was like, "Oh, for real?" I was like,
Thank you.
right? I was like, "Thank you," because it's like
Yeah.
I just thought that I was just weird, kind of taboo to most people. So to actually have my friends and my close friends actually to say like, "Wow, we support you with this," it gave me the confidence to
Yeah.
finally go out to the world when I became 18 and off into college. And after that, I didn't care who liked it, who didn't agree with it, who couldn't get their head wrapped around it. I was like, this is me. This is how I accept myself, and this is how I'm presenting. If you don't appreciate
Yeah.
it, kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Or I got
You
the hands to
know,
throw with you too. You know, whatever. But
Because that's how you have to be, though. It's like you have, first of all, like, support is everything. You know,
yes,
if it's your own or other people, it's like, that's something I learned too. Is like, when you have the support, you really can't be bothered by anything else that's, you know, negative on the outside, especially when you know who you are and you know, like, oh, I'm happier this way. And you spent so long suppressing, you know, feelings of just trying to express yourself. After a while, it's like, you can't tell me nothing. I'm tired. You know, you did all that already. I'm tired of hiding. Like, this is me, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, go, like you said, kick rocks.
yes,
There's no room for that there, you know, so.
exactly. But with you, when did you come out, and who did you come out to, and how's this process like?
Wow. So yeah, I came out twice also.
Okay.
That's what it felt like. I don't know. For the longest time, I always struggled with my sexuality as is. Like, I was always very like back and forth with like guys and girls. Like, my friends would make jokes about it and they'd be like, "Oh, he doesn't know what he wants today. He's confused," like stuff like that. You know, like, like, oh, and like I would try to date guys, but like it would never last that long. I was never like very romantically interested into them at all. I never related to like girls who were like super all just like trying to go after a guy. Like, that's what they wanted. That was like their whole life mission, was trying to find a boy. And it's like, I just always like, you know, I just related with girls more, was more attracted to them. So when I first came out, I came out to my sister. I think I was a junior in high school, maybe 17.
Yeah.
And I just told her I was bi because, you know, I was still figuring out. But I was dating my first girlfriend at the time too. I came to my sister in confidence thinking that she'd be supportive, but it was kind of bad timing because around the time I came out, her and my dad had started going like back to church. So, you know, they had all of these ideals of, you know, what should be, what shouldn't. I let her know because, you know, we've been very close. And I just like, yeah, I'm bi. Like, I'm not just, you know, attracted to guys. I like girls too, this and that. And like, you know, this is me. And she told me she didn't want to be bound by my secret. And she ended up telling my dad, which I didn't even know about. And I only found out my dad knew because when I brought my girlfriend home and we, you know, to have her meet my family for the first time, he didn't even acknowledge her. He like looked her up and down, just stared at her. I'm like, introduced her, and my sister didn't say a word. And then by that reaction, I was like, she said something.
Oh, wow.
So that was a struggle for a long time. And my dad and I actually had never talked about my sexuality ever growing up. Still to this day, we don't speak. We've like, you know, even before PT, like when I was like, you know, a gay woman, like we never talked about that at all. It was always something that was just quiet because he didn't want to deal with it, kind of thing. And then I wouldn't say when I was 18, I moved out here to Vegas. And that's when I started to find myself more too. You know, I was like, I'm free reign. You know, I can do what I want now.
Yeah,
you know,
and a big city will do that for you.
Because you're out, yeah. Like there's no bounds, there's no rules, there's no like, you know, limits. And I was at, well, let me fast forward it. So fast forward to like 20 years old. I was at this rave, and I ran into this couple because we were like all wearing the same thing. So we took a picture. We followed each other on Instagram, and I found out the guy that we were talking to, he was trans also. And I was like, no way. Like, I had no idea there was like actual, like, I always knew that there were trans people around. It's like, I never actually have like met someone else. Like, I've always seen them, like, I've always watched like YouTube videos of trans YouTubers, stuff like that, trying to find and like relate to them, but I never actually met somebody. So I hit him up and I was like, how'd you get your hormones? Like, but just like asked him like, who's your doctor, this and that. He told me his doctor. A month later, I had a appointment with the doctor and then started hormones the day after. And I think I visited back home before that time of coming back here to start my appointment. And I think visiting back home is kind of like what opened up my eyes to like something I've been suppressing. Cause it's like being back home brought back like all these memories, of me just like suppressing who I was and realizing like, my family hadn't changed much with their views and the way like they thought. So as soon as I left my, home from vacation that week, I was like, yeah, it's time. Like, I'm tired of living this way. And so, yeah, I came out on Instagram. My mom was very unhappy about that.
Oh.
She was like, why? She's like, oh, out of all the places, I had to find out on Instagram. And like, we argued for a little bit. It wasn't all pretty. It took a long time for just everyone around me to get like adjusted to it, used to it. I had a lot of support from the very beginning, but I could tell it was mostly hard for like my close family members, the ones that didn't agree or appreciate my decision or whatever, we don't talk. So, my life is peaceful because of that. And I just realized like, whoever's going to support me is going to support me regardless. There's going to be no conditions. And this is kind of how I went about everything. Like,
that's exactly what is no conditions. Because also too, what is crazy enough, I don't talk to my father at all. After I was 18, I didn't have any more contact with him. And I think that's when I learned that I am worthy and also I deserve unconditional love. And that's why I figured if these, like, I had friends, especially when I came out with my androgyny, they no longer talk to me because their views on gay people or trans and whatever, and just, a lot of people, it's just not socially accepted, especially in the Black community. So,
oh yeah,
it put
that's
me
a mess in itself.
Yes, and then my mom, she's the one who love her to death. She's the one who's expressed that so much, unconditional love, and she was saying like, if they can't be friends or know you or support you, then you don't need them. And I think I kept that going out from high school, going into college, and even now. And I'm just like, okay, you don't rock with me, shit, kick rock.
Right. And that's something I feel like you have to learn though, is like, because growing up, that's the only kind of love you're shown is like, oh, I can love you, just don't do, ABC for me to not love you. And it's like, that's not a healthy way to love somebody, like you said, I think when you go out on your own, you have a good support system, you have good friends, you have people that have loved you the whole way, no matter what. And it's like, yeah, that's the kind of people you want around. Yes. And I think it was like a new discovery for me too, to be like, oh, so when I cut people off, it can be family members too. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, this family, but I'm not going to be disrespected from anybody. It doesn't matter. So
no,
I think that's something that damages a lot of people too, is thinking like, oh, well, like, that's family, you still got to respect them, that's still your dad, that's still your mom, your cousin, whatever. It's like, no, we're still people at the end of the day. You shouldn't not love me because a choice I'm making is making me happy and you don't agree with it or you're not used to it. It's like, shit, I wasn't used to pretending all my life, but here we are.
Right. And not only that, I think before I move on to the next question, I think that was so important to know. I like loving people from a distance, you know what I'm saying? Because at some point, if you just can't adjust and still love this person, then it's like, okay, we can love you from a distance. Some people, I don't even love you from a distance. I just make sure it's almost like you just don't exist.
Right.
And I thought,
it's like we're done there.
And sometimes
closed door.
Family or even friends, they can put this kind of family guilt on you as, oh, you never know when this person's gonna die, or y'all family, yada. And when it comes to not having the love and respect of that relationship, then how can you foster one between, especially a family member? Because at that point,
and how do you keep going after that?
Yeah, Because
then after that, it's like loving you is a problem. Like,
yes, you making it hard, and sometimes it feels like between family that water's thicker than blood at some point.
No, really. Like all my life, yeah, you always hear the phrase "blood is thicker than water," but it actually turns out to be the other way around sometimes. It's kind of mind blowing how that all works out.
And let them know that you're starting to mix like water and vinegar or some shit like that. Was it vinegar and
oil? That's a good one.
Now, what I want to ask now that we're on the topic of family, how did your family like adjust to pronouns and you transitioning? Did they sometimes what I've learned or what I've experienced watching like other people come out and you talk about their families, they say like they felt like their sisters and their mothers and fathers and everybody felt like this person died before they transitioned and became the authentic self. So I want to know, were those some of the stuff that you were going through, and what was that like?
That's something I've heard that often, actually. So when I actually had first, like, I called my dad, and my sisters were there with him at the time, and like I just let them know, and they appeared to be supportive, you know, on the phone. My dad, all he said was like, "Oh, I've always known," and he's like, "I've learned about this in school," because you know he takes classes like right now, so like he's back in school or whatever. But so I was just kind of like, oh, like he's aware. And then I had called my former stepmom, who my dad was married to, because you know we were close. Let her know, and it's like, oh, I've always known this since you were little. And she actually had brought up a memory of when I was 6 years old. I was playing like action figures with my brother or whatever, and my sister, and I was just like, I want to be the boy character. And she like asked me to my face when I was 6 years old, like, do you want a sex change? And I told her yes. But then after that, it's like it kind of just like pushed under the rug. Like, I felt like they started to suppress it more. They started like buying me clothes that I didn't like, you know, stuff like that. And so like after a while, like I told you, they appeared to be supportive, but when I started to talk to them more, you know, the true color started showing. Like, you know, I was told like, oh, you're an abomination to God, you're a sinner, you're gonna end up in hell. Like, I can't accept you as Braxton. You were born, you know, this girl, blah blah. Like telling me like you're not a boy, you're still a girl, stuff like that. You know, I had my sister tell me on the phone like, oh, I'm not calling you by your new name because I don't agree with it. You know, stuff like that. Wow. And it tore me up for a long time, honestly, because, you know, that's my family. And those were the people that I thought would be there for me the most. Those are the ones I was under the impression that they always knew, but I guess that was just a way for them to be like, yeah, we always knew, doesn't mean we actually supported it, though. Yeah. And, like, the more I started piecing it together, even, it's like I could tell, like, when I started feeling more comfortable, you know, I started dressing different, dressing more comfortable, dressing more masculine. My stepmom had found, like, me wearing boxers one time, and she went to the store and bought me like granny panties, like shit like that. And I was just like, yeah, it was just so kind of intentional. Like you could just see like she was trying to like stop this from happening. Yeah. And so after a while, you know, I just didn't talk to my family for the longest time, probably for like a year until I transitioned. I talked to my mom the most. You know, we reconciled. She's always been there. She's always been supportive. I think it just took her a little time to, you know, get used to it, because she even told me, she's like, I just got used to you being gay, you know, that's what she told me. And I was like, I get it, you know, yeah, I'll give her that. But, you know, just down the road, I just realized, you know, whoever's going to show up for me and be there for me, like, it's not my problem that these people can't see me for who I am. And that's something like I heard too, is like, when I talked to my grandma, because, you know, her and I are closer than me and my dad are, and she told me like, well, yeah, he feels like somebody has died and he's like mourning you, kind of thing. And it's like, well, what about all the times I've missed trying to make other people happy? You know, I think that's not talked about enough. Like people always want to talk about like mourning whoever is transitioning or going on, but it's like, think of all the years we've had to skip in order to just be accepted and loved by our family. Yes. And, you know, after a while, I just stopped trying to like show and tell people how they should respect me. You know, I would try to talk to my dad or my sisters. They would intentionally dead name me and misgender me, things like that. Like my sister had visited one time, one of my youngest sisters, she visited me recently, and like it was really awkward. We haven't seen each other for 3 years, so she hasn't seen me since I transitioned, you know. And I could just like it was kind of a weird experience to just see how kind of like cold she was, kind of really short. Like she didn't even hug me when I greeted her at the door, you know. We almost got into a little argument because like she was only calling me B. She wouldn't call me Braxton, you know, because my old name was also a B.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh well, you told me that I could call you B. I'm like, yeah, to give you some leverage, you know. I was just trying to give you a little, you know, leeway to get used to it, but that's not me. I'm not just B. I'm Braxton now. I'm he, him. Like it's not that hard for you to it's not that hard to understand.
Yeah.
I was like, you're choosing to refuse that. That's what's making it hard for us to have a relationship. And so after that, I just was like, you know, I'm not gonna try if someone else is not trying, you know.
You're not gonna force
I shouldn't have to try to like have people understand who I am. It should just be like, oh, this is who you are, you know, let's keep going. And I found myself really exhausted. Like I was really the one out there like trying to explain to people how to treat me. And it shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't have to go out your way to do that, you know?
Honestly. And it feels like you're becoming like your own like activist. And then not only that, for
right?
Like, the community, because
like fighting for me, yeah.
Yeah, and
just to like, I should hold up a sign like this is me, like, you know, walking around, parading with everybody that you know, like.
Yes, and then doing little swirls with the spin the sign and everything, all that other stuff, you know.
Right.
And it just feels like you have to always advocate in every environment that you go into. At some point, like eventually me, I had to like realizing that I don't have to go over it and explain so much. Because not everybody's going to get it, but still, at the same time, you want to educate people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I felt. Like, because, like, people I would talk to, they did have questions, but at the same time, it's like, they didn't want to, it's like they had questions, I'd answer them, but they also still didn't really do anything with the information. Mm-hmm. They just wanted to know, but, like, they still wouldn't, you know, change the way they talk to me. You know, I mean, I've had friends, too, in the past, it's like, I've had friends who helped me pick my new name that ended up leaving and dogging me out because it was too much for them. Yeah. You know? So it was just like, after so long, I just had to start finding the right people. And I realized I've had a bunch of support all around me. I was looking for support from the wrong people, honestly. Yeah. I was looking for support from people that I thought you know, owed me support. But like I said, in the day, we're all just people, blood or not. And you got to go on eventually. You know, you can't hold your breath waiting for someone to love you. And that's just something I've had to realize. Like all the stuff I was seeking was like, I had to rebuild all that self-love for me, especially, you know, coming to terms with my new identity and realizing, you know, this is my true identity, my true self. Like you're having to relearn yourself all over again. Yes. And so, yeah, it's just a lot. I mean, every day I feel like, you know, when people always ask like, oh, when are you going to be done with your transition? It's like, I'm not done with it. Like, this is my life. You know? Yeah. This is not just like, there's no like end point. There's no end me. Like, this is me. I'm always transitioning, you know, regardless of gender and physical. Like, I don't know. I feel like being trans itself is very spiritual. A lot of people don't talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, see, I never heard anybody hit me with that. It was like saying that trans is spiritual.
Yeah, it is. I've noticed at least.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, with my experience with pronouns, it's always been.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. No, I forgot to ask.
I know, because it's not really a formal like, you know, back and forth interview like conversation where we're just, you know, just talking it up. And I can say briefly with mine, it's like. I was always to be mistaken for a female, even as a kid. So
anyway, right.
And so it's like I'm just trying to just enjoy my life, and then people be like, "Why are you in the boys' bathroom?" Because I gotta pee, like the fuck. And then
because you think that's where you're supposed to go,
right? And then I would answer the phone. It was like, "Oh, is this so and so's daughter?" I was like, "Like, are you serious?" And it would just be here on the block, and the people would like, "Oh, this is such a pretty little girl." I'm like, I am not a girl, and it's like I had these boy clothes on, I have a shaved head. I'm just like, what part of this do you think I'm a female? And it was
like they saw it before you did.
Yes, and it was always a constant back and forth. I'm like, no, I'm a boy, like I'm a full on guy, like just leave me alone. And but it wouldn't help that I had so many female friends, and that. they say I mesh with the females so much easier than the guys at my school. I'm just like, so what? I mean, because like the boys are dumb. That's basically how
Anyway.
it was. I wasn't into like, you know, the football and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
more of the pronouns. When I started to express my androgyny when I got into like college, everywhere I go, for the most part, people will address me with female pronouns first. And it took me saying like, hey, I was like, hey, you have to stand up and say, hey, just remind people you're not a female, you know what I'm saying, and explain that to them, especially being in my school, my teachers, and like just new people I was meeting and that I was going to be around, you know, certain times, whatever, out the month or whatever. And it became hard because it's like every corner, I think I started getting irritated, and I was like, I am not a female. Or I would be like, I actually go by him. Thank you. I used to really kind of start snapping.
Like you have to like correct somebody every time and like always, you know, readdress it. Yeah.
And I didn't understand why I had to do that so often until someone has said, you look like a female and people want to address you as female because they think they're being polite. And it didn't hit me until I was like, oh, that's why. And it became
like they're not doing it to be degrading.
No, they're not doing it to be degrading. They're not doing it to be confrontational. And I had to realize that people see me one way than what I see myself. And when that clicked, I was like, oh, so they're not, oh, they really do think I look like a female, or they think that that's how they're honoring my pronouns,
your identity. Yeah, and your pronouns. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like I said, like people almost seem to see it before you do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't know if this is rude. How old are you? I just want to know like the time frame. Like,
I'm 23. I just turned 23.
Oh yeah, you're 23. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, I'm about to be 23 this year. Oh yeah, so we kind of have grown up in the same like, you know, time period. That's
I want to know with you. What is it that you experience that have made it hard, or any type of like rough, rude, or maybe like microaggressions or things that you have experienced either at work or in public or just with people since you've came out? And also, how do you deal with it, and what advice would you give to other people that kind of go through that same struggles as being in this LGBT or gender identity?
No, we can call it that. It's the easier way to, you know, it's both. Ginity. Well, so I think something like I honestly wasn't prepared for any of like backlash. I think that's something like, you know, no one really like tells you that. Like that's something you kind of like have to face on your own. Mm-hmm. I think the most I've actually ever encounter anything negative like that was when I was, you know, I was working at the time in the middle of my transition. So like I started my transition like a couple months into the new year, and the first thing I did was like we used to have this little app we would use to like clock in. It shows everybody's name, right? Mm-hmm. And I changed my name on my clock in sheet, and one of the managers that I was working for at the time, like she always had it out for me already in the beginning. She just like didn't like me.
Mm-hmm. There's always that one at the workplace.
Right, always. There's always somebody that like secretly hates, like, and you could just tell right off the bat. And I was just like, I don't know what it was with her, but so I had found out, someone asked like, oh, why did he change his name or whatever, and someone had told them without my discretion, like letting them know that that I was transitioning. And then a couple of weeks after that, I had went out actually to the bar with my coworkers, and you know that's when, you know, I started changing more, you know, physically, and started presenting more masculine and stuff like that. And I had went to the bathroom, you know, the men's room, and I guess one of the coworkers had told all the other coworkers like, oh, she went to the men's bathroom. So that was a thing I faced being at work, and was like, people would like, you know, they'd call me like sir, and they'd call me like Braxton, you know, but like it was like, you know, like a little sneak diss, like,
with that tone of like, yeah, I'm gonna bother you today,
exactly, like like they make it known that like they know, like as if it's some like, you know, secret thing, but at the same time it's like, yeah, that's who I am, and you're gonna respect my name. And after a long time, like, you know, I would just have like random people like come up to me, go on rants. Like some guy that I used to work with was like, oh, well, my sister was a lesbian before, but she never thought she had a dick in her pants, like stuff like this, and like people misgendering me on purpose. At one point, I had gotten over it. You know, I was finally just tired of it because it's something I would face like every day going into work
Yeah.
by having to worry about people harassing me and stuff. So I finally got sick of it one day because somebody, this guy was like misgendering me, and I like popped off on him. And I was like, it's he, him. I'm a man. Like, you're gonna treat me the same way you do all these other guys. And he's like, oh, well, if you're gonna be a boy, you got to get out your feelings. And I was like, I'm not in my feelings. You're just not letting me. I'm not letting you disrespect me. And I finally talked it up with one of the executives. I was like, we need to do something about this, or I'm gonna sue you guys, like for real. Like, something change. And after a while, like people just stopped harassing me. They never implemented any kind of like inclusive training like they said they were gonna do. And you know, it was very dramatic for me because, you know, that's something I didn't really think I had to face. I thought I was going to be supported by everybody, but, you know, starting with my family and then going into work and having to deal with people that I didn't really know, they were just strangers that I worked alongside with, is like I got so many different you know, opinions and just mixed ways of support. You know, there was times I would like, you know, I worked in a warehouse, so I would like I walked in the back one time and like actually walked into a group of guys discussing like me, pretty much saying, oh, it was messed up. It's messed up how guys try to be girls and girls try to be guys these days. And like they saw me walk in, I go, oh, okay. I see what's going on. I just walked out, you know, reported or whatever. But, you know, that hasn't really happened since I quit that job, thankfully. You know, and in public is, you know, very smooth for me now. I haven't received like much hate like that, you know, for a long time, which I'm grateful for. I'd say a lot of people are more bold online. At one time, I tried to, you know, be more visible on TikTok. You know, I tried to get some videos out there, some content, and that's when I started to see a lot more hate, see where people's heads were. But other than that, I haven't really had to go through anything worse. Kind of just people's opinions. A lot of time, I realize people are just very uneducated too.
Yes.
That's where a lot of the hate and ignorance comes from. Like you said, people don't know who trans people are. They don't know what we are. They don't, you know, a lot of people don't know another trans person. So it's like, you just get reactions, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask, oh yeah, my advice too, right?
Yes.
So, I guess the advice I'd give to just those people who are out there that are, you know, young, trans, or coming up on their identity, or just, you know, if you've been trans for a long time or whatever, just openly visible, is just being yourself and having your own back is very important. Even though, regardless of people that you do have to rely on, like, you have to be very confident in yourself. You have to be strong. You kind of have to, like, I don't know, in a sense, you kind of almost have to like read the room. Like we were saying, we have to adjust ourselves. It's like you have to know and pick out like which ones, you know, are going to be a threat or ones who are not, you know, who are supportive. And just having a support system, having an outlet also, like outlet for you to, like, you know, whether it's writing, exercising, making art, you know, YouTubing, whatever it may be, gaming. It's like I found myself kind of being able to heal through those outlets. Hence my name, Make Art Your Outlet. By the way, follow for some. Yeah, I just feel like having trust in yourself, being who yourself, knowing who you are, being confident, and being bold, even when you're being told not to, is like what's going to keep you going. Because at the end of the day, we're the only ones who know ourselves, and can't let people's outside, you know, opinions, you know, regulate that. And always just stay protected too, you know, stay strapped. You never know who's out here for real. People can get violent.
Yes, and that's one thing I have learned too, is like, you know, you gotta stay prepped and stay ready. But then sometimes I gotta realize that when it is safe to go ahead and let the guard down just a little.
Yeah, that too, because you can't always be guarded either. Yeah.
And the same stuff that you talk about in your workplace environment, it hasn't been like the easiest for me at all either.
Right.
I had to like quit jobs, and sometimes like I quit like right on the day too, because it's been too much. You know, I was like, you know, I faced those same harassments in school too. So I was like, I'm not going to go through this in my adult years in the career that is my passion,
Right.
with ignorant people.
You're not going to stand for that no more.
No, I'm not, and I don't have to. Especially, I think what hurt me the most is being in predominantly black areas, because as being a hairstylist, I did mainly work in black hair salons for the most part. Being around in our community, our people, being androgynous as I am, has not been the easiest, because lack of education, and it's kind of like the conditioning that they give to us as young people to already how to feel towards LGBT people.
Right. You know? Exactly.
And in those instances, I would get people who was like, why? So what do we call you? We supposed to call you him? That don't make no sense. Like, okay, well, why if you look like that? Did you ask Ellen DeGeneres the same thing? It's like, I noticed for a while, and I think that's the whole thing I got. It's like, it was different for me,
right,
being a guy expressing androgyny versus some females that would express their androgyny, like Ellen or like whoever else that was a female expressing their androgyny or looking more kind of like of a guy in most people's opinion.
Because it's almost okay if you, it's like it's okay in that sense because you fit somewhere. You're still yes. Like as Ellen, it's like, well, she's just a mass presenting lesbian, but she has that category. But it's like for you, it's not okay because you don't fit anywhere. And yeah. That's the thing, is like everyone is so obsessed with trying to like find out what is. You know, people always have to know. Like they have to have a definition for everything. Everything has to be some kind of category. And to be someone like, you know, you're androgynous and you're bringing out all of those barriers and, you know, those social laws pretty much. It's like, yes. It's like, oh, how could you fit outside the norm? It's like, well, first of all, the norm that we've been all conditioned to believe and see is not normal either. So
no,
what makes you so criminal for just expressing who you are, you know?
Exactly. And even then, like how you said, it was one thing you had said, what you heard when your coworkers say was just completely heinous. Like I remember one time I was in school and this girl, she was like, so you don't want to be a woman? I'm like, no, I don't. And she was like, oh, okay, but like still, so like you ever been with a girl before? No. I'm like, why are you asking me this? It's like, because like I just don't think just because you haven't been with a woman, I don't think you know what you want. And I feel like you got a real big D, you just trying to hide it from everybody. And I was like, and you'll never find out. I was just like, girl, get out of my face. And the thing is, I can't believe sometimes because I was having a conversation, because I did face kind of like a little bit like a microaggression situation recently at work. And the craziest thing, I was talking to my friend about it, my best friend, lover. And what happened was I made a whole video about microaggression. And I didn't recognize the signs of what I was going through because it's been so long since I had faced that in a work environment.
Right.
Oh, and I felt so bad. I was like, I made a whole video about microaggression. And it took me having a conversation with my friend who I was going through a lot of stuff that week. And she was like, yeah, you're facing microaggression at your job. I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's like, that's like something that you've faced for so long already. Just being black, it's like you don't even realize that's happening to you.
I do, because
as an adult.
And for a while, it's been expected when I was working in black environments, like predominantly black businesses. When I was working at, I expected. So it's just, but when I got into the place where I'm at now, it's more diverse. And I was just like, I was like, it feels different. It's easier to get with these people out here. Right. And then when I started facing it recently, like maybe last month or the week before, something like that, I was like, hold on, what the hell is that? I'm like, I'm just thinking like, why don't I like how you talking to me right now? And I just couldn't put my finger on it. But right. You do hear these things of like people trying to like bring up your name and be trying to funny and this and that. Cause I don't have a problem with my legal government name. I don't. Yeah. It's just that when I'm at work and I have this particular name because it goes with my brand and my hair business, stuff like that, you're going to call me by the name I told you to at my job.
Exactly.
And not to be funny about, oh, well, is your name Aaron? I don't care. If you saw it on a piece of paper, if you see it right here, don't call me that. And I literally, I had to stand up for myself. And like how you said, I'm going to be respected how I'm supposed to, and how much I give respect to other people is how it should come back to me. And
yeah.
That I make that point too. Yeah, like, that is not my name, and you're not going to get any help or anything out, or you won't even get any reactions or interactions with me at all until you respect me by the name I told you that I'm supposed to be going at my job. Yeah. And yeah. And it's one of those things where if I met someone younger in my position, especially anybody, to really know your backing and know that you deserve as much respect as you give out at your job and anywhere, and you don't have to tolerate being mistreated in the workplace. And just because most people aren't up to date or educated or know about you being trans or non-binary, anything like that, still speak up, because this is you're probably the one that's supposed to bring the training or the awareness of what's
Right.
acceptable and what's not, and what shouldn't continue at your workplace.
Yeah.
So
That is the voice, honestly, because who else is going to do it, especially if you're the main point that's been, harassed and been in
yes.
those. Do you feel like those times that you have been disrespected, like people almost expect you to take it?
Yeah, because and that's a part of lack of education. They don't know what's being offensive. Like, how many people would just fuck with me, even trying to just they would call me male pronouns like sir, but they would put so much emphasis on it to really either, like, as if they were reminding me that I didn't know I'm a dude, or
Right.
they say certain things like, why do you look like that and you don't want to be called female pronouns? It just doesn't
Right.
make sense. Why can't you just be gay? You don't have to look like a woman too. Like certain stuff here and that.
Stuff like that.
And in those moments, I almost forgot your question.
How do you handle that? Yeah, that's what that was.
How I handle it in those moments, I didn't know how to handle it, and because they didn't know that they were being rude, I would just sit here and just be like, okay, whatever, until you get out my face. And they would repeat it because they didn't know what was wrong with what they were saying. And I didn't have the education or the vocabulary to express and explain that to people, nor did I have the patience. At some point, I just want to be like, look, you asked me that like last week. You keep doing that, you're going to get an earful, and I'm going to cuss you out. And then I'm going to say something that's going to make you want to put your hands on me. And then after that, we done.
The part of you is like, I just want to be mean, because now you're just sounding like, because some people they just say some really dumb things. And like you said, a lot, it's hard. Like sometimes you have to like listen to the tone to see where it's coming from. Like, are you just being hateful, or are you really just unsure? Because I feel like a lot of the times I've encountered people too is like, I think they just ask questions because they don't know and they want to understand. But something invasive, and it's like, some things you don't ask. Like, like whenever I get a off the wall question too, I'm like, would you ask any of your other friends that? Would you ask the person next to you that? So why am I the culprit? Like, why am I the one that you try to pick apart? I feel like trans and non-binary people, like, people feel entitled that we have to like disclose all of these things.
Yeah, and that's how it's been. It's been made that way. You know what I'm saying? To like, oh, well, we have to ask these questions because we're so curious, and now you have to. No, we don't have to have that disclosure.
Mm-mm.
That's my personal business. Like people will literally ask you what kind of genitalia you have,
right?
Just walking around, or
yeah,
and I'm like, what? And then I return, because I'm not the person to be like how you did. You're very calm and nice with your approach. Me, I'd be like, are you on your period? I'll just straight up and ask you, and they'll be like, why would you ask me that? No, why would you ask me what's between my legs? That's the real question. And then when you sit there, they kind of get like, oh, is that how offensive that question is?
How dumb it sounds. Yeah.
I realize that people are kind of become conditioned to like, just, oh yeah, we're gonna just ask you this. No, you're not. It takes for us to sit here and set that boundary. And I love when we get to the part of a breakthrough when I can educate somebody so they know not to do that furthermore with other people.
Yeah, those are the moments that I want with people. It's like, let's get to a point where you can understand like what's accepted and what's not, so you can actually go for it and be educated.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people, it's like you said, they just ask questions just to be rude, or
and some people don't know they're being rude.
Yeah, they don't know they're being rude. I was also gonna say too, like, I feel like, what was I gonna say? Like,
mm-hmm.
just in the way like the media and stuff talks about trans people, non-binary, it's like they're always like in our own business, and like they try to categorize like how we should embrace our identities. Like, we have a LGBTQ community for a reason. Why are cis and straight people in our business about, oh well, that's a gay man, but why is he trying to be feminine? Or that's a trans man. Why is he not masculine enough or have a beard or, you know, stuff like that. Just little things are like,
Yeah, because they don't fit in the stereotypical mold. But now you have,
right.
What's funny is that now there's critiques about that, but then there are people who like heterosexual men or whatever that now they're expressing androgyny. Now they're getting their nails painted and wearing long hair, pink lashes, and now they're wearing leggings and crop tops and lace. And I'm just like, honey, girlfriend, miss, ma'am. You wasn't praising that 6 months ago, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But now it's accepted because it's cool. It's fun to go out the norm now. Yeah. But it's like, but still, if you're gonna do that, stick up for these people that's been doing that.
Exactly. Like
and have their backs.
It's trendy to be. It's almost like trendy to be queer, but the same energy is not reciprocated when it's actual queer people.
And you know what? And it reminds me when like it's convenient to be Black or to have some type of Black influence, you know, some of our sauce.
Yeah.
And so it's time to not be Black. We can't turn that off. That's us.
It's like you can't pick and choose which parts you want to go with. It's like it's or nothing.
That is perfect. I love how you said that.
It's true because people I'm bleeding. I got a hangnail. But
okay.
People like I said, it's like they try to fit us in this box to what makes sense almost, or like what's comfortable socially. But it's like if you go anything beyond that, it's like, oh, now you're going too far.
Yeah.
No, that's, you know, I also just, I remember I was going to say now, like the way that the media and just, you know, the government, everything, and just the way people portray LGBTQ individuals, like we're seen as like a second class citizen almost. Like we're not seen as equals to everybody else around us. And I feel like that's why people feel entitled to the way they treat us. Like they feel like they can treat us a certain way just because we're different. But it's like,
and the majority already treats us like that anyway.
Exactly.
So it's acceptable.
Yeah, and that's so wrong. That's wrong in itself because it's been behavior and mindset.
Yes. So. And I love that. I love how we had that discussion and everything, the verbiage and all that. That was just perfect.
Full circle.
Yes, full circle, very much. And also too, what is it like for you dating?
Oh yeah, here's the one. Well, so when I first started my transition, I think I was like 3 months into it, and I did have like a girlfriend at the time. And then like when I started getting farther into my transition, she pretty much was just like I can't do this. It's just like weird for me. She was also kind of shackled by those you know, societal norms because like she had just came to terms with her sexuality too, and then being with a trans man, it was like confusing to her. Mm-hmm. Her words was like it was confusing to her because the way I present on the outside, but it like, you know, it all boiled down to what was inside my pants, you know, my genitalia. Like, oh, you're a guy, but it's weird because it doesn't match down there kind of thing. And, you know, after a while, I kind of just was like very discouraged. Like, is that how it's going to be for like everybody that I meet, you know? I kind of stopped trying to go out there for a while, but then further down the road, I just had to be like, you know, that was just one interaction. So, you know, I get on like dating apps, you know, like I've tried Tinder, Bumble, been on Grindr a couple times, you know, and I think the most chaotic stuff I've experienced was probably on Grindr, you know, like just being like, like, you know, you state your gender identity in the, you know, in the profile, like everywhere else, trans man. It's like people just see trans and automatically they start asking questions, you know, send pictures, you know, stuff like that. I was going to say, yeah, being trans on Grindr is not the place to be at all. I have had some luck with dates on there, but it's always kind of circled back to the same, like, you know, dudes like, oh, like asking me like, just being really disrespectful, like, oh, like, do you still have a pussy or do you have a dick? You know, things like that. Oh, how do you top if you're a trans man? Or my favorite is when people ask like, oh, so you're a FTM?
I hate that when he put FTM, when he put CD. Yeah. Oh my God! Listen.
I don't like that. Yeah.
Before I had let you start, finish that. Look, I was talking to somebody, and then he was like, "Oh, so like, are you like a TS or like or a CD?" I said a CD. I said, "What the hell is that?" You had a phone call.
What's your favorite song?
Right. And I was like, a CD. I was like, what the hell is that? He was like, a cross. I'm like, no,
No.
no, that's
And the way they refer to it too is just like a noun, like as if you're just some other like species. That's what I don't like.
yes.
It's like
Like you're ostracized or some type of like anomaly where you just this other thing on the side because you're not really human. You're just this thing, but you look
yeah,
humanoid. Like
that's how they act. And yeah, after a while, it's just like how to remove those kind of people because you don't want that energy. And I'm gonna say though, dating overall really hasn't been the best for me. I kind of just have always just done my own thing. I'm single, but I don't really put myself out there. I'm not really the type that's like, if I go out, I don't really like try to talk to anybody or pick them up. Because first of all, I don't know how to do that. and I don't know, having to like put myself out there and then me, potentially meeting someone and like having to, let them know it's kind of scary. Like you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. And I kind of, that has stopped me a little bit just from like, I don't know what I'm going to expect, so I'm just not even going to try kind of thing. And I know that's not the way to go about it, but like I'm at a crossroads right now with dating because I'm like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's kind of hard. What has it for you?
Ugh. It has sucked ass, I tell you. Because I didn't really date until like I got to a particular age, like around like 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt comfortable to at least put myself out there. And I started with like dating apps and stuff like that. So it was an exciting experience, but at some point I kept running into the same problem of like how you said, it's always about what's between your legs. And then once they figure out that either you're trans or some type of within this gender identity spectrum of being like androgynous, they're like, oh, this is cool, so like, are you a drag queen, or like, is this just like a costume or something like that, or are you yeah, and they'd be like, are
you see on the media, or become some kind of like a caricature almost, like
yeah. And I'm just like
you always dress this way, you always look like this, like like stuff like that, like
yeah. And it's like, how, because you don't know how to necessarily go with it because you're new to this experience of people asking you these questions and you don't know how to deal with them. So I was just like, I'm like, this is how I always look. I'm like, what is that? A CD? I had to learn all types of new acronyms and everything. What the hell is this? And it got so hard because I would end up in debates about like, but you're trans, right? I'm like, but no, I'm not. They're like, okay, well, androgyny, non-binary, that's still underneath the trans umbrella. I said, well, did you read or find a part where it says that not everybody still identify as trans when they say they're androgynous? So I was just like, I'm still trying to get to this notion to push through people's head that like, no, stop trying to like call me female pronouns and everything like that. Going through the pronouns and trying to find like authentic or deep and genuine connections have been hard.
Yeah, it is hard. I feel like a majority of it, it's like you run into people that you have to teach them almost, and it's like I don't want to have to be with someone that I have to teach about me, like
right.
Finding someone who's actually educated and just is aware, like you almost have to ask for that. It's like, yeah,
for someone that you're dating to be aware,
right?
And that's basically my experience of trying to find somebody that's knowledgeable and also aware in this type of realm, to where I don't have to sit here and feel like I'm teaching a kindergarten in gender identity, like and it's really not that hard. I'm just this person, fuck with me or not. You like penis, you don't, which one, how we working with it? Because if you don't, we just have to kick this to the side, and I don't know some serious, or are you just trying to get your curiosity out? What? Okay, can't be friends with you because I'm just like, I'm not trying to fill people's curiosity and be their one time
that's
experience.
People always like it's almost like they come with this
agenda,
like it's an agenda. It's like this fantasy of theirs, and you can tell by the stuff they say too. Like there'll be little key indicators like, oh, I've always wanted to be with someone like you, or I've always try like. First of all, I'm not something to try. All right, I'm a human. I'm not a fucking drink. I'm not a piece of food. Like,
no, I'm not a strain of weed. Yeah. I'm
just. Speaking of, we gotta smoke soon.
Oh yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Well, I thought you've been smoking, and me, I just been holding out.
Oh no,
right?
I've just been hitting my vape, but I was like, I need to wait though, so I can get all these points out before I get stoned to mess up.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that we didn't have to smoke because still I want to upload it everywhere, and I want people just to kind of understand where our experience and relate to it. So either way, it's cool.
Oh,
And
yeah.
finishing that with my dating experience, it's just it's been difficult. I have met some cute gems, you know, diamonds in the roughs here and there,
Yeah.
but still at the end of the day, what makes it hard is meeting people that aren't aware or educated in these realms. So it just makes you feel like all you're ever going to be is an experience of people, and that you're basically good for sex and
Right.
getting taboo feeling out to people.
Right.
And I think it takes a strong and person that has a support group, and to know that you're more than that, and what you're receiving within your dating realm isn't your experience, or their experience that they want to look for isn't you. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So
not duty or your obligation either. Yeah.
right. And that you're not only going to be subjected to just this, ooh, it's a trans girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you won't have to always be subjected to that, and that's not all you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So when you push through and, you know, you take breaks, you might date here, you might date here, and not. But I learned doing myself, you know, being on my own, doing myself has been the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that when I feel confident, or when I feel okay to, yeah, I was like, okay, I'll try dating again. Or when the date comes up, I'll be like, yeah, I'll go out with this person just to see how it is and get the experience in. But I noticed that it's not the end of the world if I don't find this ideal person, you know?
There's plenty more out there. Yeah. It's like you said, I'm kind of in that space too of like, you know, I'll give them a chance, but I'm also not very worried about, you know, trying to connect with someone, you know, seriously. And it's like, I think a nice part about it is like being able to be with ourselves and be single, and like, you know, still getting to know ourselves too. So like,
because we remember that we missed a lot of our experiences being authentic, when most people were able to live authentic for how they were for the most of their lives. It's like, you know, I started living for me really until I was like 18.
Yeah.
So I do have some years of experience in catching up to do as myself.
Yeah, so but that's how I feel too. I feel like I'm still catching up. So that's why I'm like, the whole dating thing is like, it's an option, but it's not something I don't feel the need to pursue that much right now. It's like,
right.
But I don't know. It's like, yeah, part of me would like to have some fun, you know, meet somebody, get out there, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, you know, whatever comes will come.
Yeah.
And but also it's a good reminder, like you said, to not like get down on yourself, because, you know, dating is not the end of the world. It's not something, I know it's essential, but it's not like, you know, it's not what everything that we need. But being able to realize like, yeah, I am worthy of a connection just like everybody else, and it doesn't have some like puzzling game all the time. Like, it doesn't that way at all.
And for a while, because it led me to be like discouraged, because I'm just like, I keep going through the same thing again. Right. It's weird being treated like a taboo like that.
Yeah.
And it takes not getting used to, but it takes your own way of navigating and figuring it out through dating.
Yeah, it is.
Because no one else goes through this, and I remember feeling alone, because I'm like, no one else is. Do you have to deal with that? And I was like, no, I don't. It was just like, this is getting annoying.
That's how I feel all the time. Like, every time I talk to all my other friends who, like, you know, they're like cis, not LGBT or anything, I'm like, you guys have it so easy. I don't hear no complaints. Like it's so much different. It's such a different experience. It's so complicated. I think that's but part of it is discouraging. But I think the more that you get used to, like, you know, you start loving yourself more, and the more you get to know yourself more, it's like easier to kind of find out what kind of people you want around, what you put up with, and just knowing like it's not you, like you being just you is not, it shouldn't be an issue. It should, like, and if it is an issue for anyone, then obviously they don't need to be there. But it's like just us being ourselves, wanting to date, is like, that's not a problem. That's what everybody, you know, looks for. So it's like, you shouldn't feel like some subcategory in the dating field or anywhere, you know.
Right. And I think a perfect way to close this is us talking about what things have, like, we've seen that been coming, like, as positive changes in for our community, and also what do we look forward to seeing in the future. And I can start with, is that okay if I start?
Okay.
Okay. I definitely, what I have noticed is that the acceptance and the knowledge that has been growing over the years, especially the best part about the internet is not only all the junk and the prank videos that we watch online, and the couple channels that we subscribe to, and all these skit and comedy people that we watch and everything. Also, it's become a teaching and very educational moment, and also a way to express and share different experiences of people. So we are no longer a taboo that's in a closet that's only been talked about from your third cousin's friends, family, person, you know?
Yeah.
Now, not that everyone knows that someone that is trans or within this gender identity spectrum, but still, at least people heard of someone that's trans, or they could say like, oh, okay, I know someone that is non-binary, or like I heard the term non-binary before. It came up on an MTV episode. I saw this on a clip right here, and this and that. At least now there is more exposure and more representation, and more actors, actresses, people in different career fields, different in lawmaking fields, activists that are out now that kind of unite the community and put us together. Right. So we're not much alone. And I think in the future, this thing of what we're talking about, all our struggles and things like that, it won't be a thing anymore.
Yeah,
that's because me. Yeah, and then to me, what I think, or how I kind of phrase it, because when you're Black and one face these struggles, and you hear about slavery and discrimination about, you know, your grandparents, whoever that was working in this one spot, you can see the similarities of the discrimination between LGBT people as well. And when you're Black, you get both of those.
You do.
And I can really see how, if back in the day, if my grandmother felt, you know, some type of way, if so-and-so had to walk into the back of a restaurant, or being called N-word and all types of other stuff out in the street, I know the microaggression or the certain discriminations that I face now will, to one day look to somebody that's like 18 years later, when they're 18 or whatever, I don't know, and they'll be like, you had to go through that?
Right.
What? I couldn't imagine. I can't wait for the day when the babies now, when they grow up, and they say, I couldn't imagine like that.
Right. That's how it's going to be for us. And I think that's what, like, I forget too, is like, at some point, like, this is the, like, just the people we are in our generation, it's going to be part of history. And that's pretty cool, because it's like, I feel like we're in a time now where we're a lot more visible. We're being a lot more represented in media, and, you know, and like TV and movies are a great outlet for that, honestly, because, you know, who doesn't watch TV? A lot of people do. And having that representation, having actual, like, you know, trans actors, actresses, non-binaries, and just, you know, people that are openly invisible on camera for a wide audience to see, I think that's what really has changed a lot for awareness, you know, especially like you said, like on social media just right now, you know, we kind of all been driven to just be on social media as is. So that's kind of where all of the solidarity and education and community comes from. And it's not the way I honestly prefer it, but it's like, that's what we have right now. And it actually has made a lot of a difference. So, you know, might as well keep using it. I definitely look forward to the day where we can all just be happy and be ourselves and be out and proud. I think there's been more of a push for, you know, like laws, in terms of law, like that's been more implemented. Like, we're lucky that they passed the bill in the House that it's like, you know, LGBTQ people are protected as a whole. I still don't understand how that works though, with, like, you know, between states, how certain states can pass some, even though like the Supreme Court just passed the whole entire bill. You know, that's something I've been trying to understand. I don't get it at all. But yeah, I think it just it makes me just happier seeing that there's more faces out there, more people. Like, I wish that I knew more people like you, like growing up and knowing, like, you know, we're not alone. I didn't really start to, I didn't really start to discover more people a part of, like, you know, my community until I started becoming more out there too. I think it's kind of also a good push to, like, use my voice more too. And and to not be afraid. Like you said, we have to be the ones that, you know, make it happen, because no one else is going to do it. Like, if you're experiencing, you want to be the voice, like, you got to be the one that makes that change, and people won't know more about us unless we're allow ourselves to be seen. So yeah, just got to keep fighting, keep being ourselves, and, you know, the fruits of our labor shall.
Yes. Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you so much for being amazing and getting on here with this call with me. And y'all, we're going to have the first half of it. We tried to record it on my computer, but everything crashed. So, but
thanks for coming for this one.
Yes, thank you for coming for this one. And I really appreciate you because I'm sorry.
Did it cut out?
Yeah, my phone it had told me I was on 20% and that crashed my phone. So that's what happened. Um but definitely I thank you so much, Braxton, for coming on here with me. And now I know I got another ally friend up in here, you know what I'm saying? We cool like this, you know. And I think this was a very healthy and very productive conversation, and also to have our voices and experience put out there, and also for other people to either educate, gain experience, and also to know that there's other relatable people that go through the same thing that were in our positions that might be in there now.
Yeah, like just giving advice to those who need it. Honestly, though, like being that outlet for people who really don't have much, you know, being able to, I mean, especially like, yeah, being on social media, being on a platform, talking, you know, about the raw and true nature of what it is to be LGBTQ. Honestly, like this is something I feel like I've kind of tried to carry out, but I've always, you know, slowed down a little bit because I've been discouraged and afraid of the type of reaction I would get. But it is, I think this is like a great way to start new again and start fresh and be able to like be more active, you know, be it on YouTube or, you know, Twitter, WeTube, whatever it may be. I do thank you for inviting me because it has kind of opened my eyes up more to like, you know, make more content out there that's more about you and more about, you know, your reality, you know, instead of just showing people only like certain versions of it. So yeah, I think this will definitely inspire me more to be a little more louder.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm inspired too.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. And I'm glad we could connect now. Now we can be, you know, mutual, be friends, be buddies, and just get to know each other. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. Thank you so much. So I gotta go.
Yeah,
but
so need to eat.
Yes, I need to get something to eat too. And this is super awesome. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Thanks for setting up this call. I can't wait to see all of it put together.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you take care. Get something to eat now.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.